So, welcome back. This is Night Flight, and today I'm very happy to say that Masaki Miyagawa is back. He took a long hiatus from interviews. He traveled to Japan, but we have him back, and he is once again my guest. So, I'm a very happy woman today. So, Masaki, welcome, and how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good now. I had some health problems, high blood pressure, but I got it under control now and raring to go, ready to go.
Ready to go. Yeah. So, portals, interdimensional portals, and cults. What is the deal there?
Well, you know that I worked with pyramids, pyramid energy,
Mm-hmm.
and esoteric topics for many years. And then my family also has a history of being Buddhist priests. So I was open to the idea of portals, or people would talk about it. I didn't dismiss it, but then it's really come into focus the last couple of years for me, and I would say that it's described in many ways in different cultures. They might not say portal, but they'll say there's other realms, or even in the Christian concept of heaven or hell, you're going to another place. So I think the concept of portals is already in the culture, but it could be the case that they say the energies are shiftings. We're in a long process of moving into a new age, whether it takes 10 years or another 200. Age of Aquarius, which rules the aliens, Aquarius rules, portals, interdimensional, and so forth. So it's a hot topic. You've even seen portal type movies or multi-dimensional movies pop up more in the last couple of years. Um, I don't know if you saw Doctor Strange, the
Mm-hmm.
latest
Yes.
one. It's all about multi-dimensionality, right? And
Yeah, and a lot of Enochian magic.
well, what is magic? Um, to my understanding, magic is just using the archetypes, signs, and symbols to activate the matrix, or maybe it's activating our consciousness, because it could be the fact that everything is a consciousness field. So in that way, reality may be more malleable or fluid than people would like to think, right? So, oh, there's that movie, Everything, Everywhere at Once. I don't know if you
Mhm.
saw that. Uh,
I started watching it, but I was bored after 10 minutes. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
I watched the recaps, cuts down the time. But again, it's the multidimensional uh factor.
Mm.
And there's also, have you seen that DMT experiment, the laser DMT experiment? I think the guy's name is Danny Goler, and he he has a group of people take DMT, and then they shoot laser light through a prism onto a wall, and then they look where the laser hits the wall, and they all see lines of code coming out. They say they can't understand or read the language, but it looks sort of like katakana, like those Japanese letters. Uh, it looks similar to the Matrix, like when the code comes out.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think it's been in the culture, this understanding for maybe since the beginning. And but they just don't say portal. And if you're coming through a mm, a mindset that is 3D based, then you're not going to even though it says everything about portals, but it doesn't say portal, then you just say, "Oh, well, it's just heaven or some other place." But now we have things like CERN where they saying they're punching holes in another dimension, but only for a millisecond, only for a short time. Uh, so I think there's many things to point to the fact that multidimensionality is the way the world works, you know, and mm, it's also highly disturbing because we rely on the world working a certain way. If you do A plus B, the outcome is C. But if you start considering the fact that the world is the world could be very fluid, like there's it's set to a certain degree, but it's way more fluid than you think. Uh, that is highly disturbing, especially if you see it for yourself. So, yeah. What what direction do you want me to go in?
Yeah, I was thinking, what what made you connect cults to that?
Well, so there's all kinds of cults, but there's, LA
Yeah.
is like the home of the cult. There's the born again Christianity, which people associate with the South of America,
Hmm.
the Southern Baptists and so
Hmm.
forth. But a lot of people don't know that the Southern California area birthed a lot of those Jesus cults in the 60s and 70s.
Hmm.
So really, you know, people don't people think it's sort of extreme and so forth, but that kind of Jesus cult is just one of many of a range of cults that the LA area has birthed. Now, there's one cult that is little known by the mainstream public. Uh, it's connected to a larger cult, but they were famous for the Son of Sam murder cases in New York. Supposedly it was David Berkowitz, a lone nut, but it's probable that he's connected to this larger cult. And I had contact online that we would talk often and so forth, mainly about political stuff. And he was also an occultist. And he said that he believed his uncles were in this cult, the Son of Sam
Hmm.
cult. And his family was also OTO, Ordo Templi Orientis. So these things run a bloodline. So it's certain that his family were occultists. They were in various cults. And since I was investigating this area of these portals and so forth, I asked him a question. Do you think this particular cult is interested in portals? And he said yes. he believed that their primary interest was portals, and the ritual killings were incidental, or it's sort of a sideshow to the portal interest. Although they're known to be, this cult is known to sacrifice dogs. I think they were German shepherds, and that that could open portals too. They would do them in specific locations in New York. So you'll never read anything online about this. In fact, I'm not even naming the cult, right?
Mhm.
But if you know the Son of Sam case, it's a particular cult. And their symbol is the stylized swastika with the four quadrants. And they believed, so this was active. It really started in the 60s and 70s and continues in some form today. And they believed in four archetypes or four totem gods: Jesus, Lucifer, Jehovah, and Satan. And so you could pick any one of the four and worship it, and it's all equal. Like Jesus and Satan, or Jehovah and Lucifer, it's all the same.
Mhm.
And in the end time, the four become one, and then it's that 1,000 years of peace
And
idea.
then doesn't it, okay, let's say that is true,
Mhm.
although it's a little bit weird. But okay, let's say that comes to pass. Does this merger then gets a new name, or do they have a name for it? Once it,
I don't know if they have a name, but I believe that there's outer teachings and there's inner teachings.
okay.
And just the because if you don't mention the portal aspect to it, that's an inner teaching. But in their symbolism of the swastika, but you have the four quadrants. That's a cross, a four-way cross, and it's the crossroads, which is um, very prominent in, I would say, West Africa, as Ishu, the god of the crossroads, the Lord of the crossroads, and the crossroads is an interdimensional symbol. But it's more than a symbol. It's a symbol, but if you go to a 3D location with an intersection, that is an interdimensional junction. I will tell you that for sure. And
Mhm.
you know how you know it's an interdimensional inter point? The Orthodox Jews, they do similar rituals to the West Africans, where they take the chicken and they put I don't know, karmic debt or something, and they throw it into the crossroads. That's not just a ritual. It's actually doing something. And the only way you would know that is you have to be an occultist or magician yourself.
Mhm.
But I'll tell you, it's not something to be dismissed as a, oh, look at they're wild and crazy and they just believe in all this stuff. They're killing. There's that, but they're doing it because it has an effect, you know?
And the effect is?
Well, number one, it's sacrifice.
Mhm.
So you can make things happen with sacrifice. And
Mhm.
number two, it maybe exactly what they're saying is like there's some kind of karmic debt or something, and maybe they could kick the can down the road or something like that. I do believe that eventually the karma comes back, but maybe you can delay it, right? So And the dog, remember I mentioned the dog is they're known to sacrifice dogs, and the dog
Yeah.
is the
Dog is,
totem animal of Eshu, right? So Judith knows.
yeah. And
So
dog is God backwards.
yeah. Well, also, I think there's some connection with Sirius too because they call it the
Yeah.
dog star, right?
Mhm.
So, uh, maybe Eshu, the trickster, is an incarnation or version of Enki because he was helping the humans, but he was a trickster. He had to encode it in certain ways. And so, yeah. So th this cult is known to be interested in portals. And do you want me? I can tell a story.
Yeah, go
It's
ahead.
it's, it's you can't prove this, but I'll just tell you the conclusion that I came to. Um, I've worked with many Hollywood families, and
In
you
what
know,
capacity?
pyramid work,
Ah, okay. Hmm.
pyramid work. See, you would think they're interested in mansions and boats and yachts and expensive things. They're interested in that, but once you have all that, then it gets weird. They're interested in the occult, right? And everybody knows now, with all the P. Diddy stuff and the Epstein and so forth, they're interested in sex and everything you think they're interested in, but they're interested in the high strange also because once you have everything material, what's next? It's the unseen, right?
Yeah.
So I had a dream. I've had many, many dreams this last couple of years, because I've been, I guess you could call it healing myself, but in doing so, you're releasing stuff and you have to look at certain things, right? So this was maybe in the last year. I had a dream that it's kind of like now. I was seeing a lot of riots or chaotic activity, and then there were some people talking, and they said the public will think that it's just happening, but they will not know it's the process. And that led me, when I woke up, I was thinking about it, and a woman I worked with came to mind. And I always, she's known to be linked to a certain Hollywood cult, but this cult is like a subchapter or an inner cult, right? I never linked her to this cult. And what I saw was a lot of people in Hollywood, they'll do anything for fame, right? They want the money and the material things, but fame, you can't put a price on that. They want the attention and the adoration, and you even see rich people now are on social media because they want the eyeballs, you know. Um, it's uh it's a drug. I guess you could call it a drug. Um, so I saw, and this is just in my mind as I'm working it out and uh, looking at it kind of psychically. So I saw that she wanted fame. This cult is very famous in Hollywood for making, for helping your career, and she went to some sort of meeting. Uh, but it could be also that it could be a spiritual thing because I'm seeing it as she went to a meeting, but maybe just being in that energy, you start to make a contract. But she's basically taken over and 95% non-human, right? A lot of people say those rich people, those people in Hollywood, they don't seem human. They call them reptilians or whatever the fact. I didn't see reptilian, but I would definitely say non-human. And then from that, I s- when I say I saw it, I picked up on this, not like visually, but again, this is all psychically, right? That there is a parallel Earth or parallel world, and this has been talked about by many people, but this is the first time that I saw it myself. There's a parallel world, and it has been totally sucked dry by this. I don't know what you want to call it, AI consciousness, or
Hmm.
it's something like non-organic, or it's a parasitic, right? And it's completely there's no life left, right? And then I compared it to our current state, and even though we have many problems, this world is still very lush and has a lot of vibrance and plants and animals. So as bad as it is here, it could be much worse. And so I'm not I'm not sure how this works, but that consciousness is trying to push into our world, and these Hollywood elites and the bankers and politicians are sort of their stormtrooper
Ambassadors.
ambassadors, stormtroopers trying to, I guess, terraform the Earth into a version of that burned out desert like world, right? And I believe that Trump is one of these people too, because all the agendas he's pushing are, although he's just a manager, it's it's pushing. I mean, he greenlit the data centers, the AI data centers, and those are terrible for the environment. It's like they're even talking about taking farmland and making them into data centers because farmland has everything you need. You have the land and you have the water supply, right? What about the food? You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
So, uh, that is that's a portion of what I came to, you know. Oh, by the way, this cult runs a animal shelter called Best Friends Animal Shelter, and Joe Biden got the president always has a dog. It's a White House dog, and he got his dog from this animal shelter. So it's not an inconsequential cult. I would say they're small, but they're very focused, you know, and probably most. I think even people in the cult may not know. It's a pyramid structure, right? So probably only very few people know about the portal aspect. But
So like
yeah.
inner teaching, outer teaching.
Yeah, yeah. Well, plus it's so foreign to the the average person's concept. Like I'm already out there. I'm in the weird zone, and until a couple years ago, I didn't doubt it, but it's not my main focus or anything like that. And now I spend a majority of my time trying to figure this portal aspect out,
Mhm.
you know. Uh,
When you say a lot of cults, they consists of specific particular bloodlines. Does that mean that although it might look like it on the outside, but actually not everybody can join?
okay, th this is an interesting topic. So I think people can understand uh this portal theory or the the idea of portals, but to actually go through, I think you have to be from a certain bloodline.
Mhm.
Um, or at least it makes it a lot easier. Uh, so I'll give you an example. The samurai in Japan, or some that it's a tiered class system, the feudal system. You had the kings, then you had the priest class, and then you had the samurai. So I would say there are people in those classes from the royal bloodline to the priest class and the military that are have this portal capability. You could call it sh like a shaman bloodline, right? And they in Japan, these like the military, the priests, and the royal bloodline, there is some degree of mixing. So already you have the elites share somewhat of a common bloodline, right? And when, I've been in Japan, I've been going back and forth between Italy and Japan the last couple of years, and there was a shrine next to the place I was staying. So there's shrines, the Shinto shrines, and there's Buddhist temples. The shrines, the Buddhist temples is about Buddhism. Shinto shrines, uh, is about there's this deity that's enshrined at a certain place. Um, I would say all of the shrines that I've seen are on ley lines. There's some kind of energy there. A lot of the temples are too. Uh, but this shrine that was located next to where I was staying was where Nobunaga, he's like one of the three warlords that was contesting for the shogunate in Japan. It was like the Civil War. So you got down to two sides, and there was three guys. Uh, Nobunaga prayed before battle at this shrine, and he won. And he gave thanks to the area, right? The common perception or thinking about why you would pray at a shrine is, I think, different than what they're actually doing. It's a 3D thinking versus a more multi-dimensional thinking. Is you're not praying to God to win. You're trying to jump into the reality where the enemy makes a mistake or you have a certain advantage that day so you can win. So it's a totally it's a totally out there concept, but uh I have some friends into the African traditions, and they said that if the chief or the king cannot do this, he's a fake. So that,
Mm,
that gives you an idea of the way, especially the Western um, system has taught us is not really how it works, or maybe it's a tiered system. The top understand how it works, but what they've given the public, you can only in in science, you can only go so far. Then if you want to go to the next level, you have to be an occultist or magician, you know. But I hope that story about the praying for battle is makes sense because I think it's a good example of the difference in mentality between a 3D understanding and a multidimensional understanding. And these teachings may have degraded over time too. So now people may be going just to pray or something, but I believe that what they used to do in the past is you're praying to win, but it's in a completely different way than people today typically understand.
in other words, he tapped into the other dimension and let's say he leached power from that.
Oh, well, if you're talking about multidimensionality, right?
Mm,
You have versions of reality,
mm,
but some of these versions, if they're just a slight degree off, you, you would look around and you wouldn't notice any difference. But if you go to the dimension or reality where it's just a slight degree off, and the small changes result in you winning the battle, I think that's what they were looking for.
mm,
Hmm.
yeah. You mentioned dreams, and I had recently, this month and last month, no, October and September, I had two lucid dreams.
Oh yeah, was it? Were they significant?
Um, yeah, yeah, I don't know. I'm not so sure about that. The second one was something weird. And yeah, I mean, lucid dreams are always a little bit weird, yeah. But the first one, I was, sometimes in dreams when you you want to go somewhere, but for some stupid reason you never arrive because something is always distracting you, and you think, yeah, and now I have to focus, and because I need to go there, but you never end up there, or you are running and running and you can't get away, as if you're, yeah, just standing on the spot. So, and that first one, that was like this, yeah, and then I was so annoyed about this dream that in my dream, I told myself, this dream is stupid. Why don't you change it?
Yeah, they say that you can control your dreams. I
Yeah.
always forget, but they say that's you reach another level when you start actively influencing your dreams.
Hmm. Yeah. So I decided to stop dreaming that, and I I woke up once I made that choice, and I said, No, this is stupid." Yeah. I don't know. I no longer want this dream. Yeah, I woke up and had something to drink. So and the second one was a person that I really didn't want to meet. And, and neither in 3D nor in a dream. And I asked questions, and one was very, very pertinent, and his reaction, he didn't really answer to that, but his face, and I could tell that he was inclined to say yes when I told him everything you said was a lie. And then I had another conversation with him, and that was when I intervened in the dream and told myself, you can stop this now. This makes no sense because uh, it had to do with a certain time frame, and I told myself, no, this cannot be because you are older than him. So it actually, what I told myself in the dream, the logic was ironclad. Yeah, but because I felt so uncomfortable in this dream, I also woke up. Yeah, and well, next time around, I will try to, you know, redirect the dream, not to wake up and just change the channel, so to speak.
Well, I have it was before I was talking about a dream, so I was completely asleep. But I have a story about a lucid dream. Now, it's like 3 years ago. I was I had about a month-long period where I was having intense portal activity. Um, it was because I was clearing certain locations in Los Angeles, Little Tokyo, in downtown LA, and an area right by my house, which is an old Disney studio lot where they used to draw the Mickey Mouse videos, cartoons in the 1920s. And both of these locations have heavy pedo
Mm,
energy, right? You can say all of LA, but I'm only dealing with what I know, right?
mm,
Because I live in the area or I've gone there many times. And, Little Tokyo, I'm Japanese American, so I would know the ins and outs of that area. And towards the end of that experience, it was getting really intense. And I was I was half asleep. I was on the bed, and then I started hearing some kind of music like jazz. It had horns, and it sounded like there was a party going on. But there's no other room or space below my bed. I'm in the basement, right? So uh I opened well, it felt like I was going to get sucked through the bed into this party where music was coming from. And I opened my eyes and I said, I'm not going anywhere. And then it stopped. But it could be just like an interesting story, right? But I asked my friend Emily Moyer, who her work, it's all about portals. And she said, "Oh yeah, the horns. I had that happen to me too." So she thinks that um, it's probably coming from the era of the 20s through the 40s, 1920s to 1940s, when the mob, the Jewish and Italian mob, the
Mm.
mafia, was really running LA. And during that time, they had a lot of jazz music. And I think that these energies, whether it's pedo activity, and so forth, they actually are stuck or they exist at a level that's not apparent in the 3D. And what was I doing? I spent over 30 days every day investigating and clearing locations.
How did you go
So
about that, clearing those locations?
it's mainly just intention.
Mm, okay.
Uh,
Hmm.
I now I just snap, but before if you're using a pendulum, you can clear things. You say clear this spot and it moves until it it stops, and then you ask if it clear. But you do that enough times, you want to speed up the process. So different people have different techniques. Some people blow on a certain spot or something, but I just I would wait until there's nobody else around, and then I'll do the. You only need about maybe 10 seconds or something.
Hmm.
Yeah. I may be nuts, but I was doing this every day. And yeah, it's so I don't know what effect that has. Maybe you're clearing it for yourself so you break any connections to that world or something. Or maybe it has a larger effect of of closing off that realm for other people too. I'm not sure. All I know is I had to do it. Um, and there's more to that story, but it'd be too long. Yeah,
Mm.
I was yeah, in fact I contacted James Bartley at the time too. Yeah. When you get into this realm of interdimensional and portals, you're in the realm of schizos and crazy people. But I think that a, a lot of that is s- schizos and crazy people are seeing things they have no reference for. Oh, and then also, when you're clearing these or you doing any kind of energy work, okay?
Yeah.
Could be hands of healing. If you do it day after day without any break, your energy goes higher and higher, and you start to get real loopy. So, uh, but I think there's a reason for that. The Remember the Crossroads? Eshu, the god Eshu, he's a Gemini god. So the crossroads or these portal points are ruled by the archetype of Gemini. Uh, but Gemini also rules schizos and crazy people. So when you and I was walking a lot that time too. I was walking around LA, and uh, I can tell you if you walk a lot, it's a Gemini activity that kicks the energy. If I'll say this, in magic, in occultism, signs, symbols, and archetypes are very important. So if you do all the things associated with the portal archetype, it could be that you eventually break through and you you have some experience, but that time there were certain astrological transits, like there was a door open for maybe 5 or 6 weeks, and if I tried to do it now, probably nothing would happen. But I learned something from that was reassuring. Only few can pass. So if you don't have the proper training or knowledge or understanding, and you don't have the proper bloodline, you're probably going to go permanently nuts. Because I've been away from doing interviews for a long time. It took me maybe 2 years to recover. So, in a way, I think that's a good thing because it's like a natural filter. Only certain people are going to be able to pass through, and no matter how much money you have or how powerful you think you are, there's universal there's universal laws. You can't cheat your way, right? So, uh, I think it. Think about this. They talk about Earth is under quarantine, right? You've heard
Mm-hmm.
that. That some people say it's the radiation belt. I'm completely disinterested in space now. There's
Mm-hmm.
so much going on on the surface of planet Earth that it's kind of I'm not interested in outer space. What if the quarantine is these portals? Because maybe if everything's interdimensional, right? Well, yeah, you can get on a ship and go to the moon, or Elon Musk wants to go to Mars. What if that's a misdirection? And if everything's open to us, you just need to find the right portal. James Bartley, I did a talk with him recently, and he was saying that Native Americans and their Aboriginals in Australia uh, do rituals with each other, but they bypass getting on the plane and they go through portals. So that's something to think about. I don't know what the truth is, but it's something to think about. Maybe we're the fallen angels and we're in quarantine and we've just been dumbed down to the point where we don't even see where the doorways are anymore.
This was the public hour. For full access of the entire interview, please join our Patreon community. Thank you.